All right, we are here in the athlete area, joined by VP of Marketing, correct?
CMO.
Oh, CMO now, because that's changed since we last talked a little bit.
Yep,
So,
yep.
Oh yeah, I love that. Todd Meleney. Todd, thanks so much for having us and hopping on the pod for a little bit here. We're sitting in the athlete check-in area, which takes a lot of setup. You've been here for about, 36 hours maybe?
Yeah.
What's the initial setup process been like?
It's been smooth, actually. I want to knock on some of this wood we've got here because we did do a ton of planning and prep work to get ready because you just don't have a lot of time once you're here. You kind of need to start executing. So far, it's been smooth. A lot of organization of product, making sure everybody's kits are properly in place, and then things like sound, audio, lighting, signage, the details that make all the difference.
For sure. And big picture, this is, first year, NOBULL is the title partner of the CrossFit Games. What would you say is the kind of overall theme for you guys and how you approach, design, experience, and everything?
We are here to deliver results. Although this is the first year, we're here with a purpose, and that's to deliver results for the community and for the athletes, and we're ready to do that.
That's awesome. And so now let's kind of talk about the check-in here where we're sitting in. Athletes will be coming in 2 days? Yeah. They'll be walking through here, picking up their gear, and it's always one of the highlights of the CrossFit Games. Talk about the initial gear pack of what athletes will be getting when they step through these doors.
Yep, it's pretty special. We're proud of it. It's over 60 unique items per athlete. So 7 units of footwear for a variety of different events that they may or may not encounter.
Yeah.
Over 30 apparel items, top, bottoms, bras, shorts, hoodies, loungewear, stuff for them to wear, off the field, and tons of accessories. 4 different bags, hats, boonie hats, you name it, sweatbands, underwear, everything that they could possibly need, we wanted to deliver for them, and it came together great.
Yeah, and I can only imagine what the design process for that goes. What were kind of the foundational elements as far as designing the kit for this year?
Yep, so we have a pretty kind of core brand identity. Those who have been following us for a while would probably pick up on it. But we really wanted to kind of play heritage to the CrossFit brand and the NOBULL brand. And for us, it kind of starts with camo. It's been one of the kind of core brand design aesthetics from the beginning, really. So this kit is built on 3 different styles of camo. There's a snow camo, an army green camo, and then a dark gray, black charcoal camo, in addition to some solid colors that kind of round it out too. But we felt like that was representative of where CrossFit has come from and where NOBULL has come from. And, there's been a lot of different kind of design aesthetics that we've seen over, the last decade or so.
Yeah.
And this is our opportunity to kind of reset a little bit and bring what NOBULL does really well into it and kind of create a baseline of something that looks amazing, looks super clean, and allows us to grow and expand on it in the future years too.
Yeah, and anyone who's watching on YouTube and watching at home, you can see some of the pieces behind us set up in these lockers, athlete nameplates. To me, that all goes back to the experience process. So what was really driving the experience that you wanted the athletes to have?
Yeah, there's only so many times, and unless you're a games athlete, and I don't know it, there's only a few times, I think, in life that you're going to have the opportunity to really be treated like a world-class athlete. A great CrossFit career is probably shorter than other sports, and they may not remember exactly what it looked like in here or what the color of their shoes or shirt was, but I think they'll remember how they felt. And we took that approach with every detail, from the view that they have when they're sitting in their locker to the sounds that they're hearing when they're walking into the room, to the way that they're treated with an individual product concierge that makes sure they have everything they could need from head to toe, with a full team here that's literally dedicated to them. We put together kind of an audio track that's kind of ambient in nature, but is highlight reel of all historic games moments.
Oh, cool.
From the past. So when they're sitting there, they're going to feel like they're somewhere special, and they should, because they are.
Yeah. Oh man, and I love it. We were talking about this beforehand. As a guy who grew up playing sports, there's that like locker room mentality, like that game day mentality, while also having the individual spots for each athlete to kind of highlight the individuality of them as well. And so the rest of the check-in, is there like media, things like that, you're going to be taking part?
Yep. So there's over 600 athletes that will come through. They'll come in to check in. We'll have a host bring them over to, say Tia's athlete locker number 12. They'll be greeted by their concierge, make sure they're totally fitted up with the kit that they need. They'll get walked through, kind of best use case for all the different product. And then once they've got their kit ready to go, which the outfits that we have merchandised here are what they'll wear during the opening ceremonies. They do get a bunch more, but the ones we have out are the kind of tried and true crisp white. Once they're all ready, we'll walk them over to a media station that we've built, where they get headshots and content created for them for all 600 athletes. Will be delivered same day so that they can celebrate it too.
Nice. That's awesome. And man, just the thought of 600 athletes passing through here. But you guys have made accommodations for every athlete that's going to be taking place, right?
Yep. All of them. You know, whether you're a 4-time champ or whether this is your first time in an adaptive or teen division, we're all equals, and we want to make sure that they have a great experience.
Yeah, for sure. Because you showed me the little the dividers that like every single one of these is ADA compliant too. So for all the I was amazed by that. It's such a cool piece, because this is the first year the adaptive divisions are part of the games.
Right. So first year the adaptive divisions, we're thrilled about it. So although we have specific kind of ADA compliable lockers as well, each one of these can be converted to an ADA locker, which we will do at times to make sure that everybody has the accommodations that we need. More than enough space and super comfortable, and also realize that NOBULL is thinking about them and making sure that they're taken care of.
Yeah, for sure. I'm looking up. There's these beautiful lighting trusses here to like really kind of nail home the experience, and it kind of brings to mind one of the things we were talking about before is the timeline, like the timeline to bring this to life in terms of kit and stuff like that is a little different this year because of how the season's laid out. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, well, on that, just as a reminder, we signed this deal, I think it was February 26th, which was a Friday, and we announced the partnership on Monday, March 1st. So really, we had 3.5 months of work to accomplish a year's workload. And because of COVID, because of the new and awesome things like the Last Chance Qualifier, where if you remember in 18, 19, or when there were regionals, those would typically be in May. Games are at the end of July. You got basically 60 days to produce the uniforms based on who qualifies. Well, we just had a Last Chance Qualifier 2 weeks ago. So we'll be literally printing those uniforms on site here. And in the month of June, our apparel team had to create over 4,000 unique custom graphics to represent the sizes and the scales and the bib numbers for all 600 athletes across the 30 different apparel units. So it's been a tight timeline, but I think it'll just make it that much more rewarding.
Like what does that cost? That's like, it's such a unique investment, because you see all of this stuff and then everyone sees the front end of it. And I'm always curious, because I've never heard that number thrown around, but I'm just curious, with the timeline and everything like that and the accommodations, like what sort of investment that looks like from NOBULL's side?
On the product side alone, it's over $2 million worth of product that we'll be providing to these athletes. The individual athlete kits each are over $4,000 worth of product. And then scale that out to all the divisions. It's no joke, and obviously we built this whole space out. The way we try to approach things is produce work that we're proud of. And there are budgets that you have to be aware of.
For sure.
But we really feel like this came out great.
Yeah, and it's not just here too, the rest of the campus too. Earlier we got to go on a little bit of a walk and see some stuff. It's from a branding perspective, what are some of the things that people can expect to see that I got a little bit of a sneak peek already? Yeah,
so I would say NOBULL's core competencies, and these are things that we've tried to focus on from the beginning, are product, content, and marketing. And we do have a 20,000 square foot retail activation space with a 200-person staff which will be extremely experiential. There's a 20-foot LED screen in there. We'll be not only streaming the CrossFit Games, but we'll also be streaming the Olympic Games.
Oh, sweet.
We've got a bleacher stadium that are similar in aesthetic to this, but to just bring the community together.
Yeah.
Like I remember in 2016, we probably had 5,000 Instagram followers, and it was like, hey, if you're a NOBULL customer, we'd love to take a photo with you.
Yeah.
And everybody in Carson went to kind of one of the areas where you could see down onto the soccer field, and there was probably 18, 20 people there, right? But we were so stoked and proud. It was like, these are our people. It's amazing. We're going to have tens of thousands of people come through the NOBULL space over the next week.
Yeah.
And we want them to have that same kind of communal vibe, because that's the type of brand we are. That's how we want to maintain. So the retail space is going to be amazing for that. But on the content side, one of the things that also matters to us deeply and matters to me deeply is making sure that we celebrate the athletes of this sport. And as we were walking the campus in April, and we had been here, obviously, like you've said, we've been here as fans and to some degree, for the business. It's a little bit different when you have some expectations of, hey, we're the title sponsor now. What do we want to do with that? Yeah. And walking around, I was kind of surveying the campus as a canvas, which is what are the placements that we can use to amplify the sport and amplify the athletes that are in the sport. And we just couldn't shake the feeling that the Coliseum really is like it's a ring of honor. Yeah. For anybody who may have not seen it, it's wrapped with 32 panels that are 20 feet wide by 10 feet tall that wrap around the circular Coliseum. And in past years, there had been brands that had branded it with their logos or what have you, and we had conversations like, oh, well, we could slap our logo up there, or maybe we could put some of our athletes up there, and we just kind of wrestled with it for a while, and ultimately landed on what's best for NOBULL is to grow the sport of CrossFit, and to do that, it takes more than just the amazing and elite athletes that we have, but it takes athletes from all over the world that may be representative of other brands, and we want to celebrate them too, because we feel like that's the role we have. So we took those 32 panels and we've put billboard size photography of each athlete wrapping the Coliseum from all over the world. And you can see, I think you said you could see it from your hotel across the street.
Yeah. It was cool. I was sitting, I got in Wednesday morning on a red eye, and I got to my room. I'm at the Sheraton, so if people at home are listening, there's a couple of hotels that sit right across the way from basically the main entrance to the Alliant Energy Center. One of which being the Sheraton. The Sheraton has a line of sight view to the Coliseum, and I saw things going up, and I couldn't quite tell, and I looked, and I'm like, oh, there's a couple of athletes staring at me right now, and I'd never seen that before, and I thought it was an awesome experience. And then as we got closer, I realized, it's not just the NOBULL athletes, but it's a pretty wide strike zone as far as the athletes. Is that a secret, like who you guys have, or did you try to like mix it up a little bit more?
We want it to be representative. So there's adaptive athletes, there's masters and age groups athletes, there's teams.
Oh wow, cool.
And then there's obviously the high profile individual athletes. The NOBULL athletes have some pretty amazing placement there, but we're also fans of the Cole Sagers and the Pat Vellners and other athletes who have helped build this sport and dedicated their careers to it over the last decade. Yeah, and they deserve a spot too.
For sure. And we were talking about this too. As you walk around, like each angle almost is like a different experience, depending on where you're looking at, because you're looking at someone different. I thought that was a really cool element because of the nature and the flow of how the grounds here at the Alliant Energy Center work.
Yeah, sure. On that, we mocked that up on Google Earth.
Oh, okay.
We had some photos from phones walking around, but we mocked it up on Google Earth, and we created a place, basically like a restaurant place setting of seats 1 through 32 that wrapped the whole Coliseum. And it was like, okay, well, Brook Wells should be here, or Annie should be here. But it's a little different when you get on site. Yeah. So as I was pulling up, I was like, oh, that's Brent's in that spot. Brent's staring down the highway. That's pretty amazing. But then as you kind of turn the corner, as you walk around to the campsite, everybody has a great spot. Yeah. And it's just a matter of, your line of sight, who you're looking at. But, It's pretty special.
Yeah, I'm gonna have Brent Fikowski staring at me as I eat a corn dog, making me feel bad about my nutrition. And then the retail space you were touching on a little bit. I love the stadium idea. I got to see it, a little bit of it today as it was getting built. Such a cool like congregation piece. But I think one of the highlights about people coming to the games is the retail element, and then like getting to get gear that they might not get anywhere else, or that they might not have access to regularly just because of what their financial situation is or whatever it is. Is there anything in particular that people can look forward to at the retail space for NOBULL?
Inventory.
Yeah.
I think that's something that people would say that they would love to see more of from us. But we also have, tons of athlete uniforms for NOBULL athletes, non-NOBULL athletes. One cool thing that I'm personally excited about is this weekend we'll have, if any of our athletes are wearing the leader uniform this weekend, I don't want to jinx it, but they would be for sale in the store. So I think if you've seen like Halloween costumes most years, you see a lot of Matt Frazier and Tia Toomey Sharpie jerseys. We'll have those there.
Oh, that's awesome.
Which is pretty cool. And that will only be available on site in addition to, some other goodies.
That's awesome. I have to ask, are the golf shoes going to be available there? Because that's kind of a hot item, and I just saw those drop.
Unfortunately not.
Okay.
Unfortunately not, but hopefully soon and definitely next year.
For sure. The on-site activation is only one part of it, and you kind of touched on the soundtrack a little bit. That's going to be going on with ambient music, but you guys are doing some digital activations around this weekend in particular, one of which I know is huge that we spoke about off air, but could you kind of reveal that a little bit?
Yeah. So as we talked about, we really want to be a leader in helping grow the sport to new people who have not tried CrossFit, have not heard of CrossFit. And we're primarily a digital brand. Like our bread and butter is we were born online, grew through social media and athlete ambassador endorsements and amazing content and storytelling. And when we think about how can we introduce our brand and the CrossFit brand to new people, those are the tools that we have in our tool belt to do so. And we've had a ton of success, obviously, with social media and Instagram. But one of the other apps that to me is like the most sticky app that I have, which the two apps I don't close all day, Instagram, because I may just need a break to scroll, or Spotify. Because I'll either put on some music, it could be anything from something I'm listening to while I'm working out or while I'm working.
Podcast too, yeah.
Perfect, right? Podcast, yep. And we have established a partnership with Spotify. And one of the cool things that I'm most excited about, we're going to be doing a lot of cool things with them over the next couple of months, but is starting on Monday, for those of you who do use Spotify for workout playlist, is that Brook Wells is taking over the thumbnail for the Beast Mode playlist, which is the largest workout playlist globally on Spotify with nearly 10 million subscribers.
Dang.
It's been the same thumbnail icon forever, which is a short jack dude with two dumbbells on his knees.
Yep, I know the picture.
Right, and it's this is the first time that a professional athlete will be the thumbnail of the Beast Mode playlist.
Wow.
And it's a CrossFit athlete, which is pretty incredible, but it's also Brook Wells, who I think we would all agree, in addition to all of our accolades on the floor, is an amazing ambassador for the sport and representation of how we would want people outside of CrossFit to perceive the sport. And it's going to be an amazing opportunity. That's
so cool. Like, and this is my ignorance showing, but like, how does something like that come together? Was it just like, hey, a stroke of genius, or was it something that had been in the works for a while?
So we've been talking to Spotify for a little while, and we were thinking about different things that we can do that are kind of organic in nature and try to find ways to connect brands. Like, we really focus on building brand and building our athletes' brand and allowing them to flourish and grow. And then, at some point, ultimately in the future, we think we'll benefit from that kind of earned the nature of that relationship. And with them, it was, what can we do within the workout section of Spotify?
Yeah.
We know those people are fitness enthusiasts. They're going on runs. Maybe they're doing CrossFit. Maybe they're doing Barry's Boot Camp, or they're at Equinox, or they're in the garage or whatever. And the biggest playlist on there is Beast Mode. And when we're having these conversations, that photo to me is, I would say, borderline iconic, like for Spotify. People recognize it. And I just said, can we change that photo to one of our athletes? And they kind of paused and were like, no one's ever asked us that. And I was like, okay, so. And they're like, well, let me get back to you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no freaking chance. Are they going to let this? Because it's a prime real estate spot.
Yeah.
And then they came back. They're like, which athlete would it be? I was like, I think Brook Wells. She's like the DJ at CrossFit East Nashville, and she'll be the first to tell you that. And, you know, for that reason, she was kind of the perfect fit for it. So we did a shoot for Spotify about a month ago, and we've got a replacement for Peckman.
Oh, yeah, exactly. And it's going to be Brook Wells. I think that's a cool way of digitally integrating the marketing of the games outside of just the traditional way. So many people, I mean, when you were saying it, there's the two stickiest apps. I'm like Spotify immediately, because I'm constantly building playlists and going on and looking through curated playlists as well, and getting to see like the people that find the sport through those weird avenues, whether it was like the documentary movies and stuff like that, and Spotify as well. So that's really cool. So it goes live Monday? Yep,
Monday for the full 7 days through the end of the CrossFit Games. You'll also hear Brooke's voice, not only you'll obviously see her as the thumbnail of the playlist, but you'll also hear her voice during all the workout playlists on Spotify.
Oh, okay.
For the full week. And
little promo action kind of stuff.
That's right.
Yeah,
Brook Wells, 7-time CrossFit Games athlete. It was important to us that she represented herself as a professional CrossFitter, because that's who she is to us, and that's who she is to our audience. And that's a great way to introduce her to tens of millions of people all over the world with an identity that we believe in.
Oh man, hearing you say 7 times, I can't believe it's been 7 years already. I remember her showing up in 2015 as like this, like not even 20 years old, like bright-eyed young athlete, and now like she's the thumbnail of Spotify, and you have these core group of athletes. What is it like to see the growth of like athletes like Brooke and Tia and Justin, the athletes that you've worked with, and now get to, I don't know, kind of highlight them in a very special way as the title sponsor?
It's, you know, for me, definitely pinched myself, because it's, I mean, we take it personal, you know, and we believe in the culture of the brand, and, you know, carrying ourselves. One of the things we talk about a lot internally, and we've talked about it with our team that's going to be working here all weekend, is like, listen, NOBULL is not the shoes or the t-shirt or the logo. It's you, and it's me, and it's how we treat each other, and it's how we treat our customers and anybody that we come into contact with. And that's how we've tried to build our athlete relationships and our athlete culture. Brooke's a prime example of that. Tia, we've now got Mal O'Brien and Christy and Justin, so many other great, you know, members of our team. But it's special, and we hold them to the same level of accountability to somebody who's day one in a very junior role.
Yeah.
You know, their responsibilities are different. They're here to promote the brand to millions of people, but they're no less or more important than anybody else on the team. And we try to live up to that.
Yeah. And the journey for NOBULL as a brand has been kind of equally amazing. We were talking before, 2 years ago, you know, we were a couple spots down from each other at the RV park with NOBULL had the Airstream, and now you flash forward what feels like a lifetime over the last 2 years, and sitting here as the title sponsor, can you speak to like what that journey has kind of been like for you guys?
Surreal, amazing, but I think we always believed that we could be here. The first year that I was at the games was in 2015. So we're in Carson, and we literally were in the last row of the bleachers, like not in the seats. We were up in the
added bleachers,
the hot bleachers, burning up there. You know, but I remember back then, you know, thinking, all right, the 10-year contract, okay, it's 2015. What would it be like? And each year that we came back, not that it was ever super realistic to be in this situation 5, 6, 7 years ago. But if you don't think it's possible, then it's not. You know, so I remember then, or 2017 or 19, looking around thinking, what are the things that we would want to do if we were the title sponsor of the CrossFit Games? And now that we're here, although it is surreal, we have thought about it.
You've envisioned it, you know?
Yeah. And that makes, there's some comfort in that. And now, and because of that is why I say we're here to execute.
Yeah. Is there any Is there, and I feel like this is I know the answer already, but are there nerves in that? Is there any fear involved in that? Because I feel like, envisioning that there's to an extent when it manifests, it's like, yeah, this is great. But then there's almost like this moment where like, oh, now you're kind of at the top, or you're looking at the rest of the mountain, trying not to fall down a little bit. Do you get that sense at all?
I try not to come up for air too much, because we still have so much to do to deliver on this week. But I will say, on the plane, I watched Resurgence.
Yeah.
I downloaded the night before. I was like, perfect 2-hour flight, 2-hour movie, done. And watching that, coming here with a level of expectation was like, all right, well, this is what we signed up for.
Yeah.
It's time to deliver and time to execute. There are moments of that, but you kind of quickly brush that off and realize we belong here. And we do. Especially
as a brand that was born in CrossFit too. It's a little bit different. And I guess it's a new era in the sport when the leading brand partner from the games is something that was born in CrossFit.
For sure. And this is something that, I've heard people ask, well, Nike could have grown the sport so much faster, or, Adidas, or name, whatever brand. And maybe in the near term that there's some truth you could argue for that. But Nike started in running. They're the biggest basketball brand in the world. Adidas started in soccer. They're the second biggest athletic brand on earth. Under Armour started in football. Now they're in everything. NOBULL started in CrossFit. And we absolutely are going to have a presence in golf, in tennis, in swimming, in trail running, in every major sport that you can think of, because there are people who work hard and don't believe in excuses in all of those activities, and we're going to connect with them, and we're bringing CrossFit with us. And that's something that we wear with like a badge of honor.
Yeah.
And we're excited about it, man.
Yeah.
What can I say?
Yeah. And now you get to see it come to life in Madison so far. What do the next couple of days look like? I know we're getting ready for athlete check-ins and stuff like that, but from the brand side of like, I think sometimes people think, oh, you get set up and then it's just, okay, set it and forget it. What does the full week look like envisioned for you guys as a brand?
Yeah. So we've got a lot of product to organize still, which is happening behind these walls here. We've got a retail activation and merchandise tomorrow, and make sure that we're on point with all of the product and those sorts of details. Tomorrow afternoon, we'll do a full dress rehearsal with 200-person staff, from soup to nuts. What happens from when an athlete walks in the door, they give us their name, all the way to when they have their photo snapped and they head on their way. What are the words we're using? What is the vocabulary? What is the timeline? What happens if this happens? What happens if that happens? And that will be Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday for teams. We have a media space here that's dedicated for our team, where we'll be, like we were saying, producing the content for everybody. But then we quickly turn the page, and we're going to be making sure that it's an amazing retail experience, but also making sure that we're capturing these moments. And we want to have those hero moments where we can celebrate, you name your favorite athlete having a big moment. We want that content because we want to amplify it to millions of people.
Yeah.
So we will be turning content out on a regular basis after every event for as many athletes as we possibly can be, amplify them, through our audience, and celebrating the most badass fitness competition on the planet.
Yeah. Heck yeah. Oh man, just hearing that gets me pumped. Last but certainly not least, I mentioned the golf shoes before, but is there anything new on the horizon for you guys? I know it's hard to think past the games, but maybe even stuff we might see debut here, or any new products you guys are stoked about?
For sure. And I think last time we were together, you asked me, how involved are our athletes in kind of product creation, product feedback? And the answer is a lot. And we take that, seriously, because these are the best athletes on the planet, and we want our product to perform for them. And we've taken their feedback to create some new product that you may, if you're looking closely, see on the field. Whether they're cleats or new running shoes or some other things. It's looking amazing.
Yeah.
And if you're looking closely, it could give you a glimpse into kind of where some of these things are going.
Oh, okay. So we got to watch intently.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we'll get some shots that can kind of make it a little bit easier. But yeah, there's some amazing new things that we've been testing behind the scenes. We know that we're ready, for some of the athletes to wear out there, and I think it's going to look good.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you for taking the time. I appreciate it as always, and stoked to see all of this play out in real life in a couple of days.
Thanks, Tom. It's a blast.